Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we explore the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Hello, John Campbell.
How you doing, Brendan?
I'm all right. I'm mainly feeling okay, seeing as how the Frankenstein legacy lives on in the dainty hands of a lady.
Lady, yes. This is Lady Frankenstein from 1971.
Can I tell you some of the nerdy research I did? I'm about to tell you something. All right. In this movie, as in most and in the original novel, Frankenstein, whether he's Victor or Henry or whoever you want to call him.
I don't believe he's given a first name in this movie.
I don't believe he is either.
He's just Baron.
He is, yes, his title is Baron.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter of a Baron is no lady. That's no lady. That's my Frankenstein was the original working title of this movie. No, I looked up what she would have been called, and it would not be Lady Frankenstein if she was the daughter of a Baron, as she is. Mm-hmm. She would be called the Honorable, and then her name. So I guess the Honorable Katja Frankenstein is what she would be called.
I don't necessarily.
Tanya.
I don't necessarily read the title of the movie as a title for her as much as the movie is literally saying, Frankenstein's a lady.
Yeah, again, another working title for this one.
Frankenstein's
a lady!
What?
And I don't have much backstory, but I do want to read something directly from the Wikipedia page, if that's okay with you.
Please do.
Now, this film was directed and co-written by Mel Wells. And if anyone out there is a fan of cult film, Mel Wells is a name that will probably be familiar. He was mainly an actor in a bunch of great low-budget stuff, including a lot of the classic sort of 50s horror movies. And
Little Shop of Horrors, man.
Well, that's the main one. He was definitely in with the Corman crowd, and he did originate the role. He was the original Mr. Mushnick from Little Shop of Horrors, the original black and white film without the songs. But he's an entertaining character actor, but apparently for a little bit while he was bouncing around Europe in the early 70s, he got to do some directing. And here's
because when you sit down to watch this Italian horror movie, you don't expect it to be directed by a guy named Mel Wells.
You do not, but also you don't expect Joseph Cotton to be in it. We'll talk about that.
Well, knowing a little bit about his biography, I'm not shocked to see him here at this point.
It's true. Yeah. But here's a little bit of the production background, and again, I didn't have to do too much research because it was just sitting right there on the Wikipedia thing. This cracked me up. Mel Wells was originally approached by the Vanderbilt family member Henry Cook Cushing IV. Not related to our pal Peter, though.
No, but I did see that name and did look to see if he had any real. No.
Yeah, no. Henry Cushing IV brought him a screenplay titled Lady Dracula. Cushing was determined to produce a film starring actress Rosalba Neary, whom he was romantically pursuing.
I did see that he was married to her at one point.
Recalling the film's development and their relationship, Wells recalled that Neary, quote, was turning him down everywhere. She couldn't actually stand him. Harry was actually quite good looking, but he was a pain in the neck because he had never lived in the real world, and that's what she resented about him.
Gotcha.
He never worked a day in his life.
Gotcha.
So here in my lap, he dropped the script and the money to do it. A windfall, end quote. But upon discovering that the rights to the Lady Dracula script, she probably would have been an amazing Lady Dracula, gotta say.
Sure.
But discovering the rights to the Lady Dracula script were actually held by actor Brad Harris, Wells wrote a new screenplay with his friend, television writer Edward D. Lorenzo, which was completed in 3 weeks. Wells also desired to incorporate feminist themes into the narrative. Film historian Roberto Curti has suggested that their script may have been inspired by the story For the Love of Frankenstein by Bill Warren and Jack Sparling that had appeared in the 4th issue of the comic book Vampirella. I love the fact that they're like, yeah, this thing was cobbled together in 3 weeks. We had Rosalba, and sure, why not? and maybe they based it off a comic book story.
I will say I'm not shocked to hear any of that, having seen the movie.
No,
because
no.
This movie's a mess. I mean, especially narrative-wise, pacing. I mean, across a lot of things, it really feels slapped together.
It does. But one thing I also love about I love about the slapdash nature of it, there's almost an immediate left turn in the story.
Oh God, yeah.
Where you're dealing with a very typical and not shit, but also not well done.
I actually found
the Frankenstein.
I actually
story.
found the first half to be like, I was going like, oh, this is a passable Frankenstein movie.
It's a passable Frankenstein
movie.
movie.
It's on par with a lot of those Hammer movies. Yep. Joseph Cotten,
exactly,
great.
And it's almost like when his character dies in the movie, it's like they're like, Dad's asleep. Now it's immediate that the movie just goes and it becomes something else.
It becomes
entirely
completely a different movie. I mean,
yeah,
almost just a different film. The whole time I was watching the second half of it, I'm going, but didn't this start as a Frankenstein? What the hell's going on?
I mean, it's still a Frankenstein movie at the end. It's just a whole other thing.
Yeah. Then it goes back to having the ending of a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah. The film was described by one of the critics here. This says on the Wikipedia, a hybrid of the 70s Hammer horror films, infatuation with nudity and sadism, and the golden age of Italian horror's Gothic period.
Yeah.
And it does feel like that. It feels like a Hammer movie and an Italian horror movie of the same period slammed into each other.
Oh, because literally there's none of that stuff in the first half of the movie, and then there's a bunch of it in the second half.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it almost seems like a different person started directing the movie.
The first nudity shows up when the doctor's dead and the monster's roaming the countryside.
And we're like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay, it is. It's like Daddy's gone to sleep. Now we can be naughty.
Now boobs.
Now boobs.
I thought it started getting really good in the second half.
I love the idea that guy probably had already walked out like, this is boring.
Yeah.
And they're like going, no, sir, you really want to stay.
There's an usher blocking his way out the door. No, trust me, sir, you're going to love the second half of this picture. I don't know about that.
Oh, whatever.
Then all of a sudden, everybody's naked in the second half of this movie, basically.
Everybody's naked. It's kind of ridiculous.
Out of nowhere. I mean, we'll talk about the naked woman on the bank of the river is just like, what?
I love how those guys are like, oh my God, we didn't notice her 8 feet from us.
Well, there's the dead body. I'm talking about before she's killed, when she's naked, but the guy she's with has his pants on.
Oh, exactly.
She's completely naked.
Have you never made love to a woman before? The man stays fully dressed.
Keeps the pants on tight.
Yeah, the woman's always completely nude.
So bizarre. And she didn't even have clothes around her. It's as if she just came to that area naked. We'll get to that scene.
That's true. There's actually no scattered clothing.
No, they didn't.
Let's talk about the poster.
Oh, we must. I actually like the poster. It's very.
I wonder if this. Well, I think it is maybe the original because it looks better than I expected.
Condor International Productions presents.
There is a terrible American one, which is the one I'm familiar with, which you will see if you scroll ahead.
Let me see here. Let me go. Let's see here.
There's one.
There's a handful. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. This is the one?
Only the monster she made could
yep.
satisfy her strange desires.
With
That's the cover I'm
with
familiar
a woman who looks nothing like the lead of this movie.
I don't even know how to describe her.
She looks like a Star Trek villain.
Yes, or Kate Pearson from the B-52s.
Yes, it is. It's both
beehive hairdo,
but also then a chopped bob on the second part of the hair.
Yeah,
it's a very specific look. She's in a sort of a very revealing, what looks like was a ball gown, but is too small for her.
Yeah, it actually looks like something that Mickey Hargitay's wife, Jane Mansfield, might have worn at some point.
Actually, that's the image, the body, and everything about it is a little bit more Jane Mansfield.
It is, and she's holding a hypodermic.
Yep.
That has a tube that goes into the veins of the creature, which is on a floating slab of wood.
Fully nude creature. The head is kind of the same as the one in the movie.
Yeah. But the body is all sort of greased up muscle man.
And then my favorite, though, is the random body hanging in the back over in the left-hand side of the frame.
Yeah.
Because she's got all this science shit on a table in the right part of it. It's just tubes and beakers and shit. I don't know. And then there's just a strung-up, very skeletal-looking body that's hanging by the neck on the wall of this dungeon that they're in.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what that is. And yes, we are being promised a straight-up porn with this tagline.
Well, I will say, and it's not that my eye went there, but you'll notice that our nude creature on the slab has this delicately placed sort of towel over his nether regions, but they are indicating he's got quite the schlong.
Oh, yes.
They're indicating with shading and so forth that he's packing.
Well, she made her perfect man, right?
Yeah. This is I believe, the American poster, and it's the one that I was
Everything about
with.
it says America, baby.
So the one that you're talking about, which is the one I believe is probably maybe the Italian one that is the first one that comes up.
I don't think it's Italian, though, because
it's
all in English.
That's true.
Maybe
It is
maybe it's
English.
British or something, or
Could
Australian. Well, I don't know what Condor International Productions.
Oh, they're just the distributor.
But I mean that should tell us where that might be located.
It should, man. Get off my back.
I'm looking it up right now. Condor International.
But this is a traditional one. You've got the
I like
the head
this
of
one.
the creature.
This one looks like a classic Condor Films. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's a Swiss distributor.
Get out.
Yeah.
So
a company based in
Sweden,
Zurich,
this was
Switzerland.
called Lady Frankenstein. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's their middle.
It also I see very clearly indicates somebody I don't know named Mikey Hargitay. Never heard of him.
Oh yeah. It's his delightful boyish personality. Whenever he puts that on, he becomes Mikey Hargitay.
Oh, little old Mikey Hargitay.
It's a monster, I tells you. A monster.
He puts on the beanie with the propeller, and he's like, jeez.
The character he portrays, well, we're not there yet. We'll
the
get
captain.
there,
He plays the captain. So this one is more of a handsomely painted poster.
Yeah.
It's got we've got in the
you get large portraits of the creature, and of Lady Frankenstein, Rosalba Baneri, who is much more attractive than this poster would lead.
Yeah, I would say that does not do her any favors.
And it makes her look like she has like like a shadowy beard.
Yeah, it kind of does.
She's got a 5 o'clock shadow.
I don't remember her playing a bearded lady in the movie. Maybe I missed that part.
No. Top right corner, you got grave diggers.
Classic. Then on the left side corner, you've got once again lab shit,
lab equipment, and then down in the middle.
Okay, this is what I want to talk about because I don't know what this is indicating here.
I think that's the character of what's his name?
Well, of Thomas / Charles /
No, I don't think that's who that's supposed to be.
Oh God, is it supposed to be the grave digger?
It's
Lynch.
Yeah, Lynch. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be Lynch.
I thought this was supposed to be the second creature, maybe.
No, I don't think so. That hair looks like Lynch's, but he's assaulting a woman and like pulling her top down. This does not happen in the film.
Mm-hmm.
There is a scene in which Lynch comes on to Lady Frankenstein and she turns him down. There is no such pseudo rape as is on this poster. So I don't know what they're indicating here.
I don't know either. This is not. There is a scene when he proposes that she should have sex with him as payment,
He comes on
but
to her
he doesn't
and she's like,
grab
"No,
her
thanks."
or anything.
No, he doesn't.
So I guess this is what they thought the Swiss wanted to see.
Oh man, the Swiss are crazy for this kind of stuff.
And she is never victimized like this at any point in the movie. She is always very in command in this thing.
In charge.
Yeah.
And
to the point where
she
I
lets
actually
her freak flag fly.
That she does. I will say one of my big problems with the movie is I do not understand the motivations of this character often, and by the end of the movie, I'm actually pretty confused by a lot of what she's done and why she's done it.
Yeah. Are you really?
Well, because it seems like the movie is just like, because she's crazy, and you're like, mm-hmm.
Well, the movie gets there. Originally, she's just so driven to secure her father's
I'm talking about in the
legacy, to
second
carry
part
on
of the
his
movie
work.
as she starts to get more insane. It doesn't. There's
Yeah.
not a. It's much like the movie in general. There's a hard shift.
Yeah, she gets crazy and really horny.
Yeah, earlier in the movie, we don't get
Not as
any
much.
really sexuality from her on display, particularly.
No,
Then all
but
of a
she
sudden,
knows
it's just
the
like,
effect she has on men.
I would have liked
does.
a little bit of that earlier, though.
Just a little tease, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. You're asking for a lot. But let me explain my relationship to this film.
Okay. I had none. I've never seen this, so please take it.
We married briefly in the early 80s.
It was a
Don't worry,
tumultuous relationship.
The divorce was amicable.
Yeah.
Actually, early 80s is probably when I did see it. When I was early, maybe high school, or no, it was definitely like freshman year of high schoolish kind of. So, there was a channel. It was the same TV channel in Houston, Texas that I ended up doing that kiddie show for a few years later.
Right.
But they were one of the independents, Channel 39, and they would show, they would show horror movies on Saturday afternoons, and they would also run them at night. And Channel 39, they also were the ones that showed Benny Hill. And let's just say I'm going through puberty. Channel 39 never really checked to make sure about content of things.
Gotcha.
So Benny Hill you'd be watching a rerun of that at 10:30, and suddenly you'd see a boob on broadcast TV. And of course, kids at school are like, dude, man, every now and then, if you're lucky, you see something like, wow, that's crazy. You don't even have to have cable.
I love the past where you turned on TV hoping that maybe at some point a boob would appear. Yeah.
Because American TV, unless you had cable, it was like, you're never going to see nudity.
Yeah.
Sorry, masturbating teenagers.
I mean, even me as a kid growing up in the 90s was still the case with that. It was not yet ubiquitous because I didn't have the internet till I was older. So it was.
But you had cable.
I did have cable, but then that was a lot of, you don't know what movie's going to come on, and you don't really know what you're going to see. You might see that a movie had nudity in it, thanks to TV Guide on the rating reasons. But I will say sometimes that burned you when you ended up watching Tightrope with Clint Eastwood, and you're like, ooh, this is not the kind of nudity I was looking for.
In the case of this, I actually did start watching Lady Frankenstein just because it was a Frankenstein movie, and it was on at, I don't know, 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night or something.
I mean, nerds such as us, we're just going to be drawn to the
day.
monster movie more than we didn't.
Absolutely.
The nudity was not necessarily the selling point. We would have watched anything that said Frankenstein.
No, absolutely. And when they introduce her character, I'm like, well, this actress is very attractive, but again, I'm only watching a Frankenstein movie. That's why you can understand that when this movie takes the turn it takes.
Yeah, because the first half of this movie in no way seems to indicate that this is going anywhere sexy.
It doesn't even give you like the Hammer-ish hints that it might.
No. And it goes for a long time with no
she shows
sexuality.
Up very early, but she's not like undressing or taking baths or stuff you expect.
No.
Like, don't worry, guys,
really
it's going to get good.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. So that's why when I'm watching it on broadcast television in Houston, Texas, at the age of 13 or 14, and suddenly there were boobs, and by the end of the movie, she's having sex on screen. I was just like, oh my God, this is on Channel 39! Which is why I have remembered Lady Frankenstein all these years.
Sure, yeah.
And then I later knew who Joseph Cotten was and was like, oh my God, you went from the greatest film of all time and several other amazing films.
Yeah, yeah. Third Man, one of my favorites.
The Lady Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That's a career, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, do you want to read taglines?
I just have a couple other taglines here. So we did mention only the monster she made could satisfy her strange desires. Then we have death and terror stalk again.
Ooh.
But this isn't specifically a sequel to anything. It's a sequel to just the concept of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So I do think that one's kind of odd. And then this comes to, once again, my reading of the title, I think, is this, which is, a mad surgeon's mind in a woman's body.
I know.
Can you believe it? A gal with the mind of a mad surgeon.
When you phrase it like that, though, and you're talking about a Frankenstein film, of course you're misleading people who are going to think that somehow the doctor's
mind transferred into
woman's
I will
body.
say, when I hear Lady Frankenstein, and if I were to see that tagline, that is exactly what I would jump to.
Yep, but that is not what happens in this film.
No.
I'm very sorry to let everyone know.
I actually wish that had happened.
Again, you keep asking things of this movie that it is not prepared to give you, John.
I don't know what this movie is trying to do, so I'm just trying to do anything to make this like a cohesive plot.
Yeah.
It does have a comic book leap in logic that I love that we'll get to, though.
Oh, I know.
This movie jumps right in and then just stops as well.
Yes.
Because this movie just starts and people are robbing a grave. And I was just like, whoa, there is no like fade in even. It's just like, boom, we're going.
We are in the graveyard, and it's a very Hammer-ish scene.
I was startled last night by the start of the movie. Just like, what? Oh, I don't even have my notebook fully out.
The movie has done its job.
Because usually there's a moment in all these movies where there's an opening title sequence, and I can open my notebook and write the name of the movie.
Wander through a graveyard or something.
Or Count Yorga's house, just showing off the rooms. Yeah. But so that usually gives me the time to start my notes and, put the title. And here it was like, oh, God, I got a trio of grave robbers are at it.
Here you have Lynch, the leader of the bad guys,
who is
sitting there drinking whiskey.
Who is a grade A dirtbag in this movie, and I do love it. He's a grade A dirtbag.
Herbert dudes.
Oh, God. The man's name is Herbert Fuchs. Or Fuchs, maybe. It's F-U-X.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but I read that as Herbert Fuchs.
Yeah, if it were C-H-S, then I would say Fuchs. But
this looks like Herbert Fuchs.
His name is just Fuchs. And
hey, man, never forget Herbert Fuchs, man.
I have a feeling that's how he would.
And he was married to the ever lovely Edith Fuchs. That is true from his IMDb.
You know what I heard? I heard Edith Fuchs.
Yeah, he's a Austrian actor.
Sure.
In a lot of Austrian productions I see here, but then I see in the 90s he appears in a movie I watched over and over as a child, and that is the where is it here? The 1993 version of The Three Musketeers from Disney. That was a oft-played VHS tape for me as a kid.
You mean Young Guns with blades?
Yes, I loved and still do love this movie. Kiefer Sutherland and Charlie Sheen and Chris
There's only
O'Donnell.
one reason to watch it.
Oliver Platt.
And you still haven't named it Oliver Platt.
Well, I also think Tim Curry as Cardinal Richelieu is pretty awesome.
All right, no, I'll give you that one too.
I
don't hate any of those actors. It's just I just hate when they take these classic characters and go, yeah, but what if they were played by young hot guys?
Yeah, man.
D'Artagnan was the young one. They were already in their 30s and 40s when he joined the Musketeers. God damn it!
Well, they really do try to sell. I mean, they do make Chris O'Donnell seem very young, and I think they try to age up the other guys a little bit.
Well, also they
all have beards, and Chris O'Donnell is clean shaven. So there you go.
And they ask him to crack his voice a lot.
Yeah.
Wait for me, guys.
Oh, I can be a musketeer. No, I really do enjoy it.
You did watch it a lot, didn't you?
I do really enjoy that movie, though. I am a huge Kiefer Sutherland fan. This will come up on our Lost Boys episode next season. I love some Kiefer Sutherland.
Shall not kill.
Oh, God, that movie. Love that movie.
I know.
Anyway, he just plays the character of the innkeeper in that. But still, I thought that was interesting. He continued working all the way to his death in 2007. So,
way to go, Herbert Fuchs.
Yeah. I don't.
He does.
I looked at the word. I sat here looking at his name, going, I don't know any other way to say this. It's Herbert Fuchs.
He does play a very good slimy asshole.
Oh God, he's
even though that's not his voice we're hearing.
Yeah,
everyone is dubbed in this.
I actually think the dubbing is not
one person is dubbed
bad across the board.
No, it's not bad.
I've seen
only
much
one
worse.
person's dubbed by his actual self, and that's Joseph Kahn.
Yes,
I don't believe Mickey Hargitay. I don't think that's his voice because he did have an accent.
Oh, and he is the most like American-sounding character in this movie.
But he is speaking the English words. We can see it.
Aside from the dubbing, I actually thought he was good in this. We'll get to him. He has a weird character to play.
Yeah, Paul Mueller we've seen before, and as I mentioned when we saw him before,
Yeah, I said we have.
Oh,
That was not a question.
He was Seward in the Count Dracula.
Yes. I recognized him right away. He has a distinct look.
Yeah, and he's all over the Italian and Euro sleaze movies and cult films of this period.
Yeah.
You cannot trip over one without seeing him.
Oh, who could forget 1974's The Arena?
Oh, The Arena. Yeah, sure. That's with Pam Grier.
Yeah, that is an insane motion picture. So he's been...
He is very recognizable, and he also got legit parts. It just, there was no shame, I guess. You would be like, oh yeah, I did a couple of terrible things. I did a good thing.
I mean, like a lot of character actors, he was just taking whatever came his way, I think.
Word.
And, great. And he's fine in this.
He's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And seems to be voicing the English words and is then dubbed over by someone who doesn't have an accent.
What is he? He is not Italian. He is...
Probably German?
He is Swiss.
Swiss, okay.
Yeah, because there's a number of nationalities present in this movie. If you look through the IMDb,
this is basically the UN. This is the United Colors of Benetton.
But that is true about. I do watch a lot of Italian movies of this era, primarily the westerns. I do love a spaghetti western or some of the.
You can always tell because of all the way they keep using their hands. A lot of hand gestures.
Yes. And they're always ordering pasta, no matter what's going. Even when they're riding the range, they're saying,
"I'm waiting for the where's the fog wagon should be coming through any time now."
Yeah.
And I apologize to all my Italian friends.
I know it's so bizarre though when these guys are riding across the plains and going, "I can't wait to get the lasagna."
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna have a pizza.
I'm stopping off in the cantina. They make such a nice bolognese.
Wow. They're digging up this grave. Two guys are digging up the grave, and the leader Lynch is just taking sips off of a bottle and going like, yeah, that's right. Get that.
Yeah,
get
that's
that
great.
body.
Dig them up, yes.
And so the opening titles roll over these guys driving this body on the back of a wagon to Castle Frankenstein.
Yep.
Where Charles, who is Paul Mueller, who is Frankenstein's assistant, inspects everything. Is like, all right, yeah, take it in the lab. It's over there.
That's a body, all right.
Yeah, there it is. And Frankenstein looks over this. We meet Joseph Cotton. This is harried later days Joseph Cotton. There's no question about it. The second he's on screen, you're like, ooh.
But you know what's funny is the way my mind had remembered his performance in this. I remembered him as being totally checked out and drunk. I'm not saying he's doing great work in this.
No.
But he's more engaged and professional, I should say, than I remembered. He is not like slurring his lines dead-eyeing the camera.
No.
He's acting.
He is. I'm talking more of just about how he looks. You're like, oof.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Time and alcohol have not been kind to this man.
We are 30 years past Kane. So.
Yeah. But even more so than just being older, he looks weathered.
He looks weathered.
Yeah. And look, I've seen him in the Fibes movies and stuff like that. So I do know later Cotton is not. But still, it's like, right.
There's also a quote from him
saying, I don't remember making this
page.
thing. Jesus.
Well, no, he doesn't actually talk about this film, and I understand, but he basically is breaking down his own talents.
You tell me this was not his favorite of his motion pictures.
I cannot imagine. I can't imagine he remembered it.
I was gonna say I actually can't imagine him going, "What? Which one was that?" I don't remember. Jesus.
No, he was just being very frank about his talents and saying like, I kind of had to be a leading man only because I couldn't do accents. He goes, I couldn't be a character actor. And that quote struck me when I was watching this. He makes no attempt to be anything but Joseph Cotton.
Yes,
he's not doing any kind of Germanic. I am Dr. Frankenstein. He's also not doing the high British kind of.
I actually did kind of find that funny when he's just like, "Hello, Dr. Frankenstein here,"
and he's got his Virginia accent that he had in every film he ever did.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I love the guy. He's great in so many things.
I love him.
And for whatever, like 45 minutes he's in this movie, I'm digging this movie.
Yeah, I know.
And so he goes, all right, he's looking over the bodies, and he's like, okay, this is fine, but here's the thing. I really need fresher corpses from you. This guy's just been dead too long. Can you find me a guy who's only been dead for like an hour or two? And Lynch is like, well, yeah, but it's gonna cost you.
Wow, that's really good.
I mean,
that is exactly what he sounded.
That's about the tone that the voiceover actor uses here. He's just like, yeah, that's right.
And for every line reading too, it's everything's just sort of like, yeah, I guess, but it's gonna cost you.
It's all this kind of this tone. Yeah.
He's just slime. He's a slimy guy.
Yeah. I just like the idea of this dubbing actor coming and going, so slimy, that's the take? Okay, got it. Nope, no more notes. I got it. I got this. Let's lay it down.
What kind of education do you think he had? Did he get past 8th grade? No? Okay, no. Great. Slimy.
Oh.
Stupid.
I don't think this guy saw the inside of a schoolhouse.
Why do I need to go inside a schoolhouse?
Jesus. Through the vocal performance, I could hear the whiskey on his breath. That's the thing that's amazing.
Very effective.
So they leave. They're looking over the creature that they've already partially constructed, Charles and Frankenstein, and we get my note just says classic Frankenstein dialogue because it's Charles going, I don't know about this, Frankenstein. Are we meddling in things man was never meant to, do that? And he's talking about, and here, man is God in the realm of science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going like, yep, this is all just obligatory Frankenstein. We've seen so many Frankenstein movies at this point. You just expect this conversation.
We will be hearing this conversation.
Oh God, I can't even.
Many more
I
times.
can't even imagine. We have so many Frankenstein movies this season.
Oh boy, we did. I did like.
I'm like, don't get too burnt out just yet, John. You've got 8 more of these to watch.
I do like. There's a toss-off line where I like whenever Frankenstein is looking at his work and going, God damn, this is an ugly looking dude.
Jesus
he does go. He goes, oh, this is a hideous beast, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the work.
Every time he pulls the sheet back on, there's like a distinct like, ugh.
Oh, oof. Okay.
Yeah, every time you think you're ready for it, but then it's just you see it again, and you're, God, you're disgusted all the same. But we do get a classic like movie cut when he goes, "Oh, you believe in all this? Well, tell me this, Frankenstein. What will you tell her?" Cut 2. Frankenstein's daughter arrives at Castle Frankenstein on a carriage.
Here.
Yeah, here we go. We meet Tanya Frankenstein.
Tanya Frankenstein.
Which is, her name being Tanya's fine, but when you actually call her by her full name, sounds very silly.
Well, and then when you actually do it legit, and it's the Honorable Tanya Frankenstein.
The Honorable Tanya. It does seem like she should be like a Valley Girl or something like that, though. Yeah, my daddy is Frankenstein. I'm Tanya Frankenstein. Do you know who my father is?
Tanya's always talking about her dad. He's gonna bring corpses back to life.
Yeah, whatever, Becky Dracula. It's just a whole school of...
You'll be jealous when you get to see who I'm bringing to the dance. He's tall. He's made of 8 different guys.
Melanie Wolfman will never find anyone.
Melanie Wolfman.
Date.
Melanie
Wolfman. Melanie Wolfman.
Please let that be the name that you sign into hotels under when you're trying to be, discreet and you don't want your fans following.
Yes, Melanie Wolfman. I'm staying under Melanie Wolfman. Wolfman? No, Wolfman.
It's Wolfman.
There's a dash in there. It's got the hyphen. It's Melanie Wolfman.
Good Lord.
Oh man, please somebody. And I also want to solicit from our listeners, somebody do a drawing of Melanie Wolfman, please.
I'd also like us to create a t-shirt that looks like you put one of those stickers that says hello my name is on it.
It says Melanie Wolfman.
Hello, my name is Melanie Wolfman. Oh my God, that's great.
So yes, so Tanya arrives at the castle.
Yep.
And this is where we meet, Thomas, the stable boy, Hand.
Yeah, General Hand.
Good Lord, this performance.
Well, again, are we blaming the actor or the voice actor?
I mean, can I blame both?
I will say that when he has the brain in him, the actor rises to the occasion, at least
Yes,
visually.
I
We don't
agree.
know what he sounds like. He looks like he's more intelligent, looks like he could be Charles now.
Mm-hmm.
But here is
For
both a
Christ's
physical
sake.
and vocal performance of a stereotypical, quote unquote, terrible word, but simpleton, right? Isn't that what they're going for?
Yeah. Oh, God.
He's a handsome young
yeah.
man, but he keeps saying things like, take care of animal good. He's first shown holding a lamb, which, that indicates symbolically his innocence.
I mean, not just at first. He's like 5 times shown holding a lamb. Almost every scene he's in for the first half of the movie, he has a lamb.
Right.
And it's just like, good lamb. Lamb be
and it's
good.
awkward, especially when we see him doing other physical chores, and he just keeps holding a lamb for some reason. He's chopping wood with a lamb under his arm.
Lamb.
Lamb really wants to get anywhere else.
And that she's like, well, who is that? And Charles goes, oh, yes, that's Thomas. He's a perfectly healthy young man, except for something terrible happened to his brain a while back.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wrote Thomas has bad brain. Because that's essentially what it is. He's just like, broken brain.
Yep.
Too
but
bad.
The important thing is he's very attractive.
Yeah.
And
they go on and on about what a looker he is.
Even Tanya, who I guess knows him.
I don't know.
But when she gets
I thought he was sort of a
coach,
normal-looking guy.
He's a handsome young man.
But the thing that they don't sell me on is that he's so strong.
Yeah, well, he is holding that lamp.
But later, especially
and he
when
can pick up bags.
Especially later when it's like he's the one who can take on this creature. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't.
By the way,
think so.
This is an uncredited performance as Thomas by Marino Massey, who went on to be in a bunch of things. I mean, a lot of Italian stuff, but also was in Godfather Part 3, the worst Godfather movie, but still a Godfather movie.
Wow.
He also did an episode of It Takes a Thief in 1969.
Wow.
Yeah. Did some EastEnders in the 1980s.
Holy hell.
Yeah, so, I mean...
And he got to bed down Rosalba Neri on screen.
Yeah, I don't understand why this is an uncredited performance, because he's in the movie a lot.
Well, it's just like the monster and then like a question mark. They're like, yeah, we don't want to tell you. It's a big shock and surprise.
They do distinctly credit who plays the creature, though, in the movie.
Oh, yes. But really, who is the monster in this film?
I mean, that is still one of my favorite things ever, is them putting a question mark for Karloff. Is great. Anyway, so they go inside, and she's so excited to say, well, yes, I've returned from university, and I am now a licensed surgeon. I'm a doctor now, not a girl anymore.
Yeah, this could have just been called Dr. Frankenstein.
That's right. Why must we specify Lady Frankenstein? I see how it is.
Yeah. Your agenda is pretty clear, Mel Wells.
Yeah. Then Joseph Cotton comes in, and boy, oh boy, is he excited to see his daughter. These two, it almost is kind of creepy.
Well, they sell the love, but we also get to see Charles standing right next to them going, oh, yeah. Tanya's back. Oh, but she'd never notice me, for I am horrid.
To which I'm like, how old is Tanya supposed to be? How long has Charles been around? And was he lusting after like a 14-year-old Tanya at some point?
Look, just deal with it.
I mean, I understand the time period in reality was kind of like that.
Sure.
Yeah, God, yeah, that's right. Still has nothing on Twilight where it has the werewolf boy fall in love with a baby.
Well, they've bonded on a soul level.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's only kind of sexual.
This won't be creepy once the baby is 19 or 20. Oh, no, it'll still be creepy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. As all Taylor Lautner performances are, though, to be fair.
Pretty much.
Hey, where's that guy these days?
What was this terrible Jason Bourne ripoff one?
Abduction. By the way, sadly, the final film by John Singleton, Abduction. That was his last movie that he directed. I know. That makes me very sad. And
it's not a way to go out.
No, it is not. It is not. So yes, everyone's happy to see Tanya. We cut back to the grave robbers once again, who are going, he wants a fresh body. Yeah, so they're gonna hang a guy tomorrow. Maybe we could get him pretty quickly after the hanging. Yeah, that'll be good. Anyway, cut back. That's it. We just get that. There's so many moments in this movie where it just cuts to like a small scene with a little bit of information and then back to something else. It's just like
it literally. I will say, I mean, it's better than an exposition dump, but it is pretty ridiculous how much we get of that.
I have a lot of scenes where it's just like, then we check in with the grave robbers. Oh, okay.
Yep.
We cut back in though, and Joseph Cotton's in the middle of telling a story from his own med school when he like gave it to a professor. Yeah. And it was just like, and then I told him, no, you're wrong, and I turned around and stormed out.
And he goes, oh, but you've heard that story a million times.
You've heard that. Then I gave the finger to the whole class and said, bite my ass, college.
Then I said, Orson, if you want another take, you can just jump down on this enormous kielbasa that I have. And I actually was holding a sausage.
This was just between takes.
Yeah, and Mel Wells is like, can we edit out the Orson part? Because the rest of that was great.
Yeah. Orson Welles. Do you think Orson Welles ever watched Lady Frankenstein?
I would love it if he did. I would love it if he did.
Oh, Joseph. Oh,
I do know that they remained friends until Cotton died.
Oh, dear, Joseph.
I would love, like, a drunken late night call, like, you'll never guess what I just saw on Channel 39 in Houston. It's called Lady Frankenstein.
Keep in mind, I was only watching for the boobs, but...
I was surprised they were there.
There I see my old pal, Joseph Cotton.
So tell me, Joe.
Yeah.
Did you get any?
Yeah. Huh? Yes. Anyway, I have to go shoot a wine commercial.
You remember that thing with the kielbasa? I remember it.
Oh, those were the days, my friend. So... they asked me to direct Lady Frankenstein, actually.
Oh, God. He would have taken the job. He would have.
Little known fact, I told them there wasn't enough sex in it.
Why not go all the way? It's Europe, and it doesn't matter.
Oh, yes. So, let's see. Yeah, he's telling that story. And Tanya says, well, now that I'm back and I'm a licensed surgeon, I can be your assistant. And Joseph Cotton's like, whoa, let's pump the brakes on that discussion, because there's some highly sensitive stuff going on down in my dungeon lab. So much stuff. And she's saying, no, I know what you're up to, because I used to sneak into your lab when I was a kid. He's like, what? But I locked the door. She's like, well... my bedroom had a secret door entrance down to the dungeon. He's like, oh, damn, of course.
The thing that cracked me about that is later on, we see she'll make use of that secret entrance. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, if
and
you're
it
her
is
dad
just in her bedroom.
Yeah, but if you're her dad and then she spills the beans about knowing about that entrance, wouldn't you block it up so she doesn't creep down in the middle of the night and see you swapping brains around and shit?
Oh, honey, it's not what it looks like. Charles, tell her what it actually is. And then
you'd never ask. Right over here.
And then she says, look, I have radical ideas too. Even more radical than your ideas, Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, she has a real chip on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. She is out to prove some shit.
Yeah. Then we get just an excruciating scene where she goes to see Thomas, and she's trying to communicate with him, and this is where he's holding the lamb and petting it. Yeah. And she's just like, don't you get upset when Dr. Frankenstein takes the animals? He's like, don't take animal from me. And she's like, well, I'm not going to take the animal from you, but the doctor takes it. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't take them.
But this scene is twice as long as it needs to be because they have to play all this. He doesn't understand what she's saying, and I'm just bashing my head against the table at this point, going, "Oh my God, please, movie."
Is that why you have an incredibly bruised forehead?
That's it.
And a gash?
Because this is not the only part. There's several more moments when I was bashing my head against the table. When I'm just watching. This scene was so excruciating to me. I couldn't.
Yeah, it was bad.
God, and this performance is wildly offensive. Like, just out of control, horrible caricature of a mentally damaged man.
I thought it was a gentle portrait of a pure soul.
I was moved by Thomas's story.
I was moved by Thomas's struggle.
I
was moved by the way he was inappropriately touched later.
Then Lynch rolls up in his cart and he's like, bad man, bad.
Yeah, he doesn't like Lynch. But I will say this, Thomas got good instincts.
Well, I was going to say, though, does anyone like Lynch? It takes but 2 seconds to look at this guy and go, that is the scummiest dude I've ever seen.
Well, he hooks up with a scummy local gal who's all about, hey, look at me, I'm in bed with Lynch, later.
That scene made me laugh so much when she just pops up out of nowhere for no reason.
I've been here the whole time.
I was like, what is happening right now?
I have no self-esteem.
My father didn't love me enough when I was little. Lynch shows up and he's like, we found somebody. It would be a good fresh body, but I'm gonna need $100 more, Frankenstein.
Yep.
Oh, it's a shakedown. I see. So we get this whole scene where he's trying to shake him down, and
physically,
yeah.
And that's really awkward when you're talking about a very elderly Joseph Cotten.
I was surprised that Joseph Cotten lived for like another 20 years after this. He died like in the early 90s. I'm like, what?
I know.
No, come on, man. He's on death's door right here in 71. No, he's got a couple more Love Boats in him before he goes out.
Good Lord. He's got, Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
His last film.
I don't know if it's his last film, but it's close.
I think it is.
Are
we going to have this
I was
fight
just
again?
looking at his IMDb here.
All right,
and he makes 2 more movies after Heaven's Gate.
All
Delusion and The Survivor.
And a Love Boat.
And a Love Boat. I don't know. The Survivor.
All within the same year.
The Survivor. A Robert Powell vehicle.
Priest. Robert Powell.
Yes, and Delusion. Oh, I love that he plays Ivar Langrock in Delusion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great name. This looks like shit.
All you need to know is he was in Airport 77. And
the best airport movie?
No.
Far
the
from
last airport. Wait, what? No.
No. I think the Concorde was the last one. Yeah,
79.
Yeah, the Concorde. That's it exactly.
I saw that in the theater.
You saw the Concorde?
I did.
I think anything after the original
79.
Airport, you can probably skip.
You can't.
Although Airport 77 not only has Joseph Cotten, it also has Christopher Lee.
That's all you need, people.
And Jack Lemmon slumming it hard, man. Jesus Christ.
He did plenty of crap too. Come on. It wasn't all great.
Yeah, but it should have been.
It should have been because Jack Lemmon's amazing.
Jack Lemmon was one of the greatest actors ever, but when you see him in the pilot's uniform with the mustache in Airport 77, you're like, Christ.
John, if you're going to turn this into another Jack Lemmon love fest, there's somewhere else I have to be. I came today to talk about Rosalba Neary and nothing else.
And look, I come into every podcast ready to talk about Jack Lemmon. So
I know. I have to put the brakes on every time.
As someone I knew once called him, and it made me laugh forever, Jack Lemmon. And what I love is he said The Odd Couple with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. I'm like, you got Matthau, fine. Lemmon really threw him though. There's also a guy who said Stephen King. He loves the books by Stephen King. So.
Oh my God, who is this person?
He was an actor I knew back in the day. Not the brightest bulb.
Well, we're moving on.
Yeah. Great look though. Had a handsome look to him.
Well, that'll get you far.
Yeah. So let's see where we're. Oh yes, I do. So she basically stops this shakedown and puts Lynch in his place. And I wrote down Lynch's line here as he's leaving because it's so good. He goes, "How can someone so lovely be such a bitch?" And then walks out the door. I'm like, oh, damn. Lynch is just not a single redeeming quality to this character.
He doesn't
is there?
Throughout the whole movie, which I actually admired. Like, they just doubled down.
No, he's just awful from start to finish.
He's just awful. So you won't feel too much towards him.
Every monster movie needs at least one of these characters where you want the monster to kill him, right? And you'll enjoy watching that murder.
Indeed.
So anyway, we go to the public hanging, which is where we meet Mickey Hargitay, or Mikey Hargitay, depending on what poster you're looking at, who is playing Captain Harris, although he's just called the Captain throughout the movie. And he is the local lawman.
Yeah. And Mickey Hargitay, former bodybuilder, husband of the ill-fated Jane Mansfield, and father of Mariska.
Who is one of my favorite people. I love Mariska Hargitay.
She's a delight. I've loved her since she first appeared on ER as Dr. Green's kind of neurotic girlfriend for a while.
Mm-hmm. I am we've talked, I think, before on here about my huge fandom for the Law & Order franchise in general, but SVU has always been my favorite of the Law & Orders in particular because that chemistry between her and Chris Maloney just crackles, man.
Yes.
And then Ice-T being confused about sex crimes despite the fact it is his work also delights me to no end. Also, Mickey Hargitay, perhaps the smallest nipples ever on a man. Maybe.
We're still waiting on that evidence. Yeah. There's a lot of we have a lot more measuring to do.
There was just one of the MST3Ks where I think they do a Hercules movie with him. They spend so much time making jokes about his tiny, tiny nipples. And yes, before I know you're asking, he did appear in an episode of SVU before he passed. So don't worry.
Did he really?
In 2003, he appeared in an episode. It's his final performance in season 5, episode 9, Control.
I'm glad he got to do work with his daughter.
Yes, I find that very charming. So yes, he did appear.
Chong.
Yeah, he had actually mostly retired from acting by that point, but came back for that episode of SVU. Actually, he doesn't have many acting credits. If you look, it's a pretty short career. He only has 20 acting credits in his whole.
Well, I need to be brutally honest. Mm-hmm. He's not a good actor.
What?
Sorry. And I will also say that Jane
the Loves of Hercules
was not a good actress.
No. But Mariska, very good,
is a fine actor. So
very good.
So she lucked out. Whatever small smidgens in their DNA, when they combined to make a Mariska, who is very attractive herself, and actually I think much more attractive than her mom.
I agree.
She also must have doubled.
She got some of that exotic look from her father, I think, which helped.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mixed with her mother's look then. And I think that created, a very stunning woman.
She got lucky on the talent scale, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think she also might have, I don't know, studied acting at some point too, which I'm not sure either of her parents ever did.
The thing about this, the local police captain, Harris, which is a weird name for anywhere in Germany.
Yeah, hello. And also, he is just as American as it can get with that voice. Hello there.
The dubbed voice.
I'm an American man.
What was interesting about his character is he's one of those infuriating lawmen. I mean, he's not supposed to be a detective, but he's basically a detective in this. He is the smarmiest. I know everything. And he's automatically, before you've done anything that would cast any kind of aspersion or suspicion on you, he already suspects you. He already knows what you're up to, and that makes for an irritating character because everything is like, "Oh, I thought you said you spent the night in." He does the whole movie is him being smarmy. Yep. So he was another one I couldn't wait to die.
And he doesn't.
Well, he does. No, that's right. He doesn't.
They make a point of him not dying.
Yeah, they make a point.
It seems like he dies, and then they're like, no, he's fine.
No, he's just unconscious. And then he'll shake it off, I think is what they say. He'll shake it off.
And he does. We see him get up later, and he's just fine after being brutally beaten by this superpowered monster.
He's eyewitness to one of the most bizarre and disturbing last scenes of a movie.
This movie's so weird. But he is introduced at this public hanging, talking to Lynch, saying, "I'd like to see you hang. I know you're up to no good, you son of a bitch."
Yeah.
And then basically just like, good luck proving it, lawman.
Yep.
And you're just like, I guess this is a thing in this movie.
All I can say is right now, I don't know what's more intriguing, the A plot or the B plot. I am sitting here going, yes, okay, bring the dead back to life. That's interesting, but I gotta see what's happening between this scuzzball and this upright man of the law.
I mean, this is the Michael Mann's heat of its day. This criminal versus lawman story. I'm like, God.
The scene where they sit down at a local cafe and just talk. It's riveting shit.
If I'm up against the wall and you're in my way, I'll take you out, pal. I won't hesitate for a second.
That's really good.
Well, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're going to make a widow, brother, you're going down.
The fact that you could then do that entire scene as those two characters means you've watched Heat way too many times.
Heat is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I'm obsessed with that movie. I love that movie so much.
I cannot join you there.
No, that's all right.
But I do like it.
I just think it's a masterpiece, and that scene is incredible.
That scene is incredible.
Yeah. So then Tanya rolls up on the hanging, and Frankenstein's like, "You got to get out of here. You shouldn't have to see this shit. My God, this awful. You got to go." And Charles goes, "I don't know. Maybe it's good for her. Maybe she should stick around to see a guy hang."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, all right, fine, you can watch, but just...
I gotta say, it's unassailable logic.
Yeah. And so they hang the guy, and then, yes, they procure the body, the grave robber guys. Charles is very concerned because he's like, I get the sense Tanya knows about the animals. And to which I'm going... Yeah. What about the animals? And what that is he knows that they're not using she knows that they're not using anything with animals.
Right. He's afraid that she will put the pieces together that instead of doing animal transplants, they've moved on to human transplants. But it is so weirdly phrased and also dropped in.
Also,
yes,
didn't she say that she...
Going, what's the deal with that?
No, because the way he says it about the animals.
Moved on. Yeah,
but also
she said her own research was about.
But also, she had snuck down and watched them in the lab. So didn't she see them messing around with human shit?
Well, maybe not transplants. It could have looked like just an autopsy, but also it doesn't matter.
I know none of this. This is not a good movie, Brendan. I'm really shocked to say. This is a great movie if you're 13 years old and it came on Channel 39 at 11 p.m. So Lynch delivers this hanged guy's body, and he goes, "Hey, yeah, well, let me know if you need another fresh one." And Frankenstein just goes, I actually don't think I'm going to be needing any more from you. I think our business is done.
You know what? Done. We're done.
And Lynch is just like, I really count on this money, and it's a bad idea to stop working with me. That'll come back to haunt you. Except it doesn't. He's actually really not a threat to Frankenstein at any point.
But, they've laid the seeds there. So you're going to worry about that the whole rest of
the whole movie, I'm like, what is Lynch going to do now? Nothing. For being this really evil guy, he doesn't really do anything bad. Like, he doesn't kill anyone. He doesn't even, harm anyone. He's just kind of a scuzzball.
When he does the creepy come on to Tanya,
there's no physical thing to that.
Yeah, you would expect something like on the poster that maybe you go, that's not good enough, and then manhandle her.
Even like she's walking away and he grabs her arm or something. Doesn't even do that.
Doesn't he do that? He's like, come on, it'd be one night of your life. What's it?
And then she's like, no, he's like,
okay, all right. Well,
I'm like, he's just. I don't care for him, but I'm not sure
he's just gross.
Yeah. It actually is I don't actually know if he does deserve to die for anything he's done. No.
You know what? I'm now totally pro-Lynch.
He's just kind of an ass. So
I will defend to my death his right to be an asshole.
So Frankenstein and Charles start to go to work on their body and this new body where they're pulling blood out of it because they're like, we need more of the blood. There's a lot of boiling of blood in this movie.
Yeah, well, it's important.
I guess so. I love all the absolute nonsense science in this film. There's a lot because this thing really wants to get into the procedural nature of the Frankenstein experiments, and I'm like, none of this is anything though. This is all just bullshit.
but that is true of every Frankenstein
It is. This
movie.
one, though, really hit me with how much I'm like, God, they are really focusing on, yes, between this and the batteries that connect to the thing, and don't you know about batteries? And like,
oh, the thing where Tiny goes, do you mean dry batteries, like created by Volta?
yeah.
Like, what? Oh, wow. You know that? You are smart.
You are a smart lady.
Not take animal from me.
This lady's pretty smart. I just hope she takes her top off soon. So they she interrupts and Frankenstein's like, you got to get out of here. It's like if the cops ever come down on this place, I don't want you indicated. She's like, no, look, I've learned some new skills while I was away at university. I can help you. I can improve this experiment. He's like, no, trust me, you really got to get out of here. And so she's like, okay, I guess. And so we see that they're able to keep the heart of the hanged guy beating outside of his body. And they're like, but only briefly. Because what we're going to really need is some lightning to keep this thing going permanently.
Right. It's all about that. Where's that perfect storm that we need?
Mm-hmm. We need that. And then they pull out the brain of the guy, and Charles goes, whoa, check out. This brain it's damaged. Look right here. It's got some. And Frankenstein's just like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. I can fix that.
We're on the clock here, all right? We don't have time to fix that brain, okay? So
he gets really is like, when that storm comes up, we're gonna have to move, regardless of whether the brain's
I do love
good
that
or not.
So much of Frankenstein's experiment here is based around, God, I hope we get a lightning storm right about now.
Yeah. And I like the way he goes, I don't care what shape the brain's in. I just have to get this guy alive. He just has to come alive. He doesn't even have to get off the goddamn table.
Look, Charles, you're worrying about nothing, all right? That's not important, okay?
Yeah.
Don't worry yourself. So
he actually pats him and goes, "Don't worry your sweet little head."
So they
he says "sweet little head."
He does. Weird. Yeah, it was weird. I was like, what is this relationship? So they stick the brain in their monster body. They hoist it up to the sky as always.
Mm-hmm.
It gets hit by lightning, and then Frankenstein goes to listen to the heart, and it's not beating. He's like, "Damn, it didn't work," and then immediately goes, "Well, that's it. That's it. That's the end of the life's work."
Well, hold on. Now, did you skip over the fire?
Oh yes, I did.
Okay.
At one point, the guy,
the lightning. It's coming down and it hits the thing, and all right, he's got juiced up. And then the creature.
No, they call it the monster later, but
the face catches on fire.
It does.
And
Joseph Kahn just kind of casually goes over and puts the fire out.
Yeah, he comes down and he has to climb up on like a little ladder, and then he just uses like a little towel. Like, God damn it! Okay, all right, well, and then. Then they check and the heart's not beating. He's like, well, fuck, it's all fucked. I should have waited. Fuck.
He goes, maybe you're right. Maybe we never should have been messing around with this. I don't know. Maybe Tanya will figure it out one day. Well, I just love he's just like,
he gives up.
By the way, as a scientist, to have an experiment not work and then just give up? My God. What? I mean, this guy's a terrible scientist. There's no recalculation. He's just like, oh, for God's sakes, forget everything I've ever studied or tried to do. It's all bullshit. Throw it, burn the body, whatever. God damn it, who cares? Charles, let's figure something else out.
He is about to do one of my favorite Frankenstein doctor quotes ever in the best way ever.
Because we as the audience see the hands of the creature start moving.
Right. And then he goes back and listens to the heart, it's beating.
Yeah.
And he actually goes, this is how he delivers the line. God bless Joseph Cotton. But he just goes, it's alive.
Colin Clive, he is not here.
We have come a long way from Colin Clive. Yeah. He just kind of goes, it's alive.
Fulfillment of my life's work here. That's interesting.
That worked out.
Write that down. Just put a note down. It's alive. So
it's alive.
Yeah, we'll need to remember that.
He goes, nailed it, and throws the towel away and walks out of the room.
He gets up from the table and he's like, yeah, it worked. And then Charles says, great, I'll get Tanya so we can show her. She'll be so happy. And as soon as Charles leaves the room, this monster just immediately murders Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah. Immediately. And this is one of my problems with this movie, and it's my problem with a lot of Frankenstein movies, is mindless killer monster. I don't like it. And it's almost just like, what? Why? And then he just proceeds to run around just killing people for the rest of the movie.
This creature, they make some, like, late in the movie, you have Captain Harris saying, oh, he's been systematically killing everyone that was involved with his creation. Yes. And I have to ask myself, how did he know any of them?
Right. But also, he kills like 20 other people, too.
Yeah. And so that's very weak sauce, because this creature, right off the bat, is a killing machine. Yeah. Has no motivation, doesn't even do the pretty nice
goes
thing.
To just murder this woman when
He does save a child. Like, not save, he just doesn't kill a child. Yeah. It's the one thing we see.
And honestly, that doesn't make sense. Like, nothing comes of that. That says other than it's actually weird that he doesn't kill that kid.
It's just a line that he won't cross. But can I describe the creature?
Please do.
For the people at home.
Because it's a new take on the character.
It is not as still, nothing is as bad as, what was the hammer one with the box on his head?
Oh God, which one was that? Curse of Frankenstein, I think.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Because it's terrible. It's the one that doesn't have Cushing, I believe.
Yeah,
I think that's the Ralph Bates one. Let me see. I'll figure it out.
All right, this creature, the makeup's not terrible. It's terrible, but it's well made, I guess I should say. But the look is, if David Prowse and Jay Leno had ended up in the telepod from The Fly, and then that creature got cast to be in a very gritty adult take on the 1966 Batman show as Egghead, that is what we have. Jay Leno, David Prowse fused in a new and daring take on Egghead, the villain from the Batman show. Or you could also say he looks like an ambulatory penis.
Yep.
With a droopy eye.
Yep. Once again, the head has that 60s Star Trek villain vibe.
It's this weird balloon of a cranium.
What is the thought behind that? Why did that happen?
I don't know. Unless, again, they're like trying to go, get it? His head's like a dick.
But I'm just talking about from the experiment. Why did Frankenstein and Charles build up this head like this?
No, I don't know.
We're gonna really have to make a bigger head for this thing.
Because when Tanya does her work, there's a stitch.
Oh, but her work is perfection.
Tanya really is the better Frankenstein.
Yeah, she is. Anyway, Frankenstein's dead. He gets crushed by the creature.
Yeah.
And Joseph Cotton's
he hugs him to death.
That's fine. I'll just collect my paycheck on the way out.
Him to death.
Where's the nearest bar? What's that? Oh, Lon Chaney's already there? Great.
This is like minute 45 or so of this movie.
It's about the halfway point that we lose Dr. Frankenstein. And from here on out, this movie takes a wild turn.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah. So Charles and Tanya. Yeah. I think they say Tanya a lot. I keep wanting to say Tanya because I think that's the way the name should be pronounced. But anyway,
some people call her Tanya. Some people call her Tanya.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they, or at least Charles sees the creature walk away, and she's like, "But what about my father? Yeah. What about my father?"
I do. Charles gives a distinct, "Well, that's not good." Like, The creature's like walking through the hallway of the house out the front door, and he's like,
he's like trying to find the exit. He's like, over there? Oh, okay.
That shouldn't be. Anyway, yes, they run in and find Frankenstein's body, and Charles immediately is like, we got to call the cops, and Tanya's like, whoa, no cops now. Let's be careful about this. He goes, well, we will call the cops, but we'll say a robber broke in and murdered him.
Right. Yeah. Her argument right off the bat is, we don't need to tell anyone anything about this creature because the creature is my father's work. Mm-hmm. And if it gets out that this thing is just a mindless killing machine, then that's going to taint my father's legacy.
Yeah, and I do like Charles goes, you care that much about your father's legacy? And she's just like, yeah.
And also she's like, maybe we can improve on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, maybe we'll get it back and I'll fix the problems.
Yeah, this could go well. Immediately cut to.
This could go well.
Immediately cut to.
I'm seeing a happy ending.
The monster rolls up on, yes, a shirtless man and a fully naked woman engaging in some sexual thing, but I don't...
Foreplay.
Yeah.
Some heavy petting.
And once again, she appears to have arrived on the bank of this river already naked.
Yeah, that I didn't zero in on. There's like no clothes anywhere near.
Nope,
so
she's
she
completely
just
nude.
It's like she just found him like, oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm naked.
Yeah.
You want to fool around? Great.
Yeah. Boy, he just immediately knocks this guy unconscious, picks this woman up, and throws her in the river. Just very, very much he's choosing to do it. Like you're saying, it's not like a misunderstanding of him with a woman. It's just like, you drown now.
He picks her up almost like, and then it's almost like you can see the wheel turning and going, what do I do with this now?
Yeah.
Oh. And then he walks to the edge of the river, and it's a very deliberate actual guy in a costume and an actual live woman going, I don't want to hurt her, and I have to get her out
he
far
does
enough
kind of place her a little bit. Yeah.
And I actually think, especially if it's a river, it's like, dude, she probably was still very close to the bank. I bet her butt hit the sand or the silt pretty hard. But yeah, he kind of just like, plunk. All right, see you later. Bye.
Poor actress. I feel so bad for this actress.
Yeah. This was her last role.
This was it. She goes, that's it. No more of this. I'm not gonna. No more movies.
Dunzo.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for me.
Not nearly as romantic as I was thinking going into the movie biz. We're gonna need you to be naked and then tossed in a river.
Yeah. I'm good. Then we cut back to now. The captain has arrived and he's looking around the lab, going, "Oh, these organs here. Of course, these are animal organs." And Charles is like, "Oh, yes, of course they are." Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "You said a robber killed him? Did he steal anything?" No.
No.
Like, he must have been surprised by my father when he came in. It's like, And you said he's a giant of a man.
Yeah,
yes.
he's completely disbelieving everything they're saying immediately.
He
which means he's the world's greatest detective.
He was the Columbo of his day.
He was. Yeah. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing is actually how he would say.
Are you saying that one of his eyes is just hanging on his cheek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should be able to round this guy up pretty quick from your description.
Well, plus, I do love that this movie, there is one scene of him attacking people at night, but generally speaking, this guy is walking around in daylight all the time. Full view.
It's another thing I think about in a lot of these Frankenstein movies where he's just trudging around, and you're telling me that nobody's like, there he is, let's get him.
No,
it's not till the very end that we have to assemble the mob,
He has amazing stealth capabilities that we don't know.
Like, we only see these brief moments when he kills people. What's he doing the rest of the day?
Yeah. Is he maybe meeting a nice old blind man who's teaching him how to smoke cigars?
Well, we all... Yeah. Oh, you know what? The editing in this movie really makes him look bad. What he was doing between the killings was some lovely stuff.
Yeah. You're getting the wrong take on this character, okay?
Yeah, and so he's asking all these questions. Is this when he leaves the room and goes, just one? No, that's later. He does do it. Just one more thing though later.
He does,
which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So then we cut to these two guys who are fishing, and they're like, "What's this? A naked girl in the? Oh my God, she's dead."
What's this? The two guys fishing. That thing cracks me up because, they're like doing guy talk, like, "Oh, this is the best way to spend a Sunday." Well,
I'll tell you that.
Not long I'm not with my wife.
I've spent time with my bitch of a wife. Am I right?
7 feet away from the body of a nude woman.
Yeah.
That is not hidden by reeds or anything. They just turn and go, "Holy crap, a woman!"
This feels like the beginning of a Law and Order.
Yeah, chong chong.
Yeah. What? Oh no. So and one of them.
Are you saying that some people just throw bodies in a river? That's their kink?
Yeah.
That's their kink?
You saying that there's some guy out there who kills people in some kind of serialized fashion?
Yeah. Is this your first day on the beat?
I've been at this for 25 years.
So he kills more than one person?
But there's like a pattern to it and clues that we should follow. Yeah, now you're picking it up, Ice.
Yeah, I think you're almost there. He could easily beat the shit out of both of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't care how old he is. He's still a badass.
Yep.
So they find this body, and then one of them runs to get help and just immediately runs into the monster, which I found hilarious.
Yep.
You're like, wait, the monster's there? Like, what are the odds?
He was just like, I hope someone finds her soon.
He followed the body as it floated down the river to where it
Maybe
washed
I should
ashore.
Present it.
And then
maybe I should make it more obvious.
He laid in wait.
Yeah.
And he's watching those guys fish going, well, they're right there. How are they not seeing it? Oh.
Just turn around.
Come on. And one of these guys is killed. Because he just grabs the guy and it cuts away. But the other guy does give a statement to the police, because we'll talk about that later. And now, though, the captain has decided he goes to Lynch's place. And he said, and he's just like, all right, I'll tell you something, Lynch. Your two buddies were found at the bar arguing about who was going to pay for all the drinks in the bar. Now, where would they get that kind of money? To which, this is another example. I'm going,
maybe they got a job.
What the hell kind of detective work is this guy's investigations all over the place.
Right.
I mean, don't know how in the hell he connects these things.
He's making some amazing jumps.
The guys,
some amazing.
These local no goods have money that must somehow connect to the Frankenstein murder.
Yes.
What?
Yes. It's obvious, John.
I can't for the life of me figure out where he's getting these clues.
So brilliant.
So he's like, I want to know. I would have
watched an entire series of films just about Captain Harris. It is amazing deductive.
And so he goes, Lynch, I know you know them and are their leader. So tell me where they got the money. And then, yes, a random topless woman, because he's talking to Lynch in bed, who's laying in bed. And then, out of nowhere, we had no idea she was there. This topless woman just pops out of the bed. And and she's like, he's been here with me for the night. Yeah. And then he's like, quiet down, you. And she just lays back down and never speaks again in the scene.
Yeah, but what I think is hilarious is, why would you quiet down someone who just gave you an alibi?
I said shut up already.
Stop trying to clear my name. Did I ask you to totally back me up? No, I didn't.
I never said anything. Now put those tits away. This is the most like, and nudity. What? But it also happened so fast. I'm just like, wait, what? What's going on?
She literally pops up as if she's a Muppet that was just waiting for an arrival.
And then they cut to a wide shot of the bed again after she's laid back down, and she's literally just like laying on her side, like, I'm not in the scene anymore.
Yeah. She keeps looking off camera, and she keeps miming like cigarette, like, can I get a smoke?
Yeah. So then the inspector's like, I think he goes back to the police station, and he's like, I think there's something up with those local grave robbers. And the other cop is just like, yeah, that's not important. There's apparently a monster on the loose.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, that's great. Yeah, you doing that whole thing. But monster on the loose.
And then we meet two of the best characters, the two basically representatives of the town folk. Yes. And they're like, boy, we're really upset about this monster and the fact that it keeps killing people who live in this town. Are you going to do something about this, Captain? And
then the captain turns on them and is like, are you going to do something? didn't think so.
And a crowd is gathered outside the police station, and the captain turns to the other cop and goes, "Why don't you go talk to him? You're better at that shit than I am." And so the guy goes out and gives basically like a little press conference where he's like, "We know about the monster. We're on it. Just go back to your homes. We'll take care of it. Don't worry."
If we have any questions, we will approach you.
Yeah.
But we're on it.
If you see anything, here's my
much.
card.
Call this number.
Yeah.
It's a toll-free number, and operators are standing by.
I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, don't worry. We are on it.
Don't worry about that monster.
We cut back to Castle Frankenstein. Tanya is studying her father's diary and medical notes.
Yep.
And she's like, I see. I'm starting to see some of the places he went wrong here.
Yeah.
She's like, Charles.
My dad was a fucking idiot.
Charles. She's like, I know the solution to this. Charles, I'm going to need your help, though. And she's like, well, what do you need help with? She's like, we're going to build another creature. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. What? That's what got us into this mess.
Her solution, her idea.
This is the comic book logic that I loved.
I think she made it up because she's actually thinking the whole time, I can't wait to fuck one of these creatures. But what she's telling Charles is, my idea is we make another creature, a better one, and that could kill the one that's out there wandering around.
This is the comic book logic. There's a bad monster killing people. Let's make a good monster to fight him.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, that's a terrible idea.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I think that she's nailed it.
Spoiler alert, it kind of works.
It kind of does. Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But oh man, I can't wait to talk about.
There's so many complicated steps. It's not as simple as that sounds.
It is not.
So yeah, they're gonna build this other creature. And they're like, well, we're going to need a strong body. Now, where do we get a strong body?
Yeah.
To which the second they were talking about Thomas at the beginning of the movie has a bad brain and a strong body, I'm like, obviously they're going to put another brain in this kid's body. That's just a given.
Whoa, again, you're an amazing film watcher that you put that together. I was asking myself, who will they find? Who?
Oh, but she doesn't immediately jump to that because first she goes to Lynch's place and is like, all right.
Oh, that's true.
I know you used to get bodies from my dad. Can you find me a really strong body? And he's like, well, that's going to cost you. And he's like, and I ain't talking money, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he gets
Wink.
creepy immediately. He's like,
You sleep with me. I'll get your body free of charge.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, that is not going to happen. And he's just like, oh, come on, it's one night. Just one. You have a lot of nights in your life.
I'm not gonna beg, but come on.
I want a piece.
And he does not get that.
No, she just leaves. I did think this scene was interesting. Once again, it's just like, and he's like, all right.
Yeah.
So she goes and she does leave. She goes, well, it'd be a shame if my father's diary that implicates you were to get to the police. He goes, honestly, everybody already knows I'm a piece of shit. It would actually be way worse for your dad if that came out. And she's like,
and Lynch has a point. That's very true.
But when it cuts to her back at Castle Frankenstein with Charles, and he's like, he suggested what? That monster! I should kill him for that! And she's like,
he goes, I understand that people, look at you that way and will want you. And she goes, do you look at me that way?
Well, because
do you want me?
Yeah.
Do you?
And he's
are
like,
you
well,
in love with me?
Things are people.
And she goes, I know you've always loved me. You always looked at me in a certain way. And he's like, but I'm so hideous.
Yeah.
You could never love me.
And she's like, well, there is a way I could love you. Because I love your brain, but this body, no, sir.
No,
but if we
you're
put
a
your
baldo
brain
with a fucked up leg.
If we put your brain in that hot, dumb stable boy, I think that could be something pretty special.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. And she's like, come on, don't you want to touch me?
And he's like, yeah, but Thomas would have to die. And
he's like,
I like Thomas.
I think maybe. And then this is where the script, there's a lot of places the script doesn't make sense. All of a sudden, she's married him.
Well, because apparently, I mean, he's agreed.
Yeah.
And so she's going to do this kind of thing like, people will talk if we're just hanging out in my dad's castle, but if they think that we're in love and getting married. What I don't think is, I mean, what makes this a very confusing plot point is, if her goal is to eventually have his brain in Thomas's body, and that's who she's going to be with, then why not fake like she's going to marry Thomas, even though people know that Thomas is probably not the marrying type. Well, because
at a certain point, Charles is going to disappear, and then she's shacking up with Thomas.
That's right. And that's
I thought the same
really
thing, where
weird.
I'm like, this is a weird, like, I'm going to marry this guy, then we'll have Charles die, because they keep saying he's very ill.
Yeah.
And so then I start fucking the stable boy, and everybody's just like, cool?
And I guess then Charles would have to start, whenever anyone else was around, start acting like Thomas. I think he would, like, if this, it'd be like, honey, someone's coming. He'd be like, nice lamb.
Yes, nice lamb. It's a very nice lamb. God.
Are we better off or worse that it didn't get to that part of a plot?
I would have loved to have seen that scene, though. Yeah, that scene would have been
God.
amazing. So they're married now. Meanwhile, we cut to, boy, the character who has as much sex as anybody in this movie is this scumbag Lynch, because he's just giving it to a prostitute here.
He sure is.
And the creature just bursts into this room, grabs him, and kills him. Just brits his fist down on this guy as this prostitute screams.
He's just done. That's it.
And the captain rolls up on this murder scene later, and he's just like, well, a fitting end for this piece of shit.
Oh, he goes, damn it, Lynch, you cheated me.
That was it. That's right. He
was looking forward to eventually killing Lynch or seeing him thrown in jail or something. Damn it, you cheated me.
I already had the rifle picked out. I was going to shoot you with, you piece of shit. That's right. That's right. It is that. And then we cut to the monster still on the rampage as he just wanders up to this farm, and this farmer's like, what the hell? He gets murdered. The wife comes out to see what the commotion is about. She gets murdered. And then their little boy is hidden under like some roof or something under like.
And he gets no.
The monster looks at him and is like, nah.
People might think the wrong thing about me.
Yeah. So then the inspector goes to Castle Frankenstein and he's like, hey, that guy Lynch, he's dead now. Does that do anything for you?
It is like he's like gauging their reactions. Like, I think maybe supposedly we're supposed to think he's suspicious that they are sending the monster out to take care of people.
And he's like, and then also, these farmers got killed and the boy said he saw a monster. Huh? Anything?
No.
Yeah, I don't. And he goes, well, how about this? Tanya, you were seen at Lynch's house that night. Why'd you go over there?
And she tells him that she had gone back to pay her father's debts. Well, why didn't you send your new husband?
She's like,
because they were my father's debts, and I wanted to pay them myself.
Like,
because
yeah, okay, well, I guess that does kind of add up in a way. All right, well,
one more thing.
Well, one more thing. Do you believe in monsters?
And she goes, fuck no.
And he's like, damn.
I really thought I was going to get her with that one.
He's almost using the Chief Wiggum approach of just going, that's very interesting. Did you do it? That's a very strange thought that you... Did you do it? I love when they turn around and Homer's like, well, does that ever work? No, it doesn't.
So
now with Lynch gone,
yeah,
the other two grave robbers are running their own show now with less profits to split, I guess, because they're digging up another body, going like, Well, one of them's digging up, and the other guy's drinking. He goes, all right, don't you be like Lynch now. 50-50, pal. Doesn't matter, though, because the monster immediately attacks these guys, throws them into the open grave, beats on them a little bit, and then crushes them with a tombstone.
Can I say that, now I can only imagine, because we are talking about our impressions of this film without too much earlier prompting.
Yeah.
But I'm going to assume the bloodthirsty in you was both sated but disappointed, because the gore in this is terrible.
It's bad.
The gore in this, every time you see a body that's just been pummeled or beaten, it looks like someone got into mommy's lipsticks. Because it looks like they have taken
smeared all over someone's face. Yeah.
And sometimes literal lines, also, like you could see them just like with lipstick.
They get crushed by what it was clearly like plaster, but is supposed to be a big piece of stone. Shouldn't they just be goo? Yeah, they should be goo. Also, stone shouldn't bounce, but I didn't want to bring up that. When that comes down on them, that thing is wobbling. Later too, when the fight in the lab, that is some balsa wood and cardboard lab parts that are being thrown about. So these guys are dead, and the inspector's like, oh, geez, more murders, huh? And they're just like, yeah, boss, this is how we found them, crushed under rock. I wonder if this has something to do with Frankenstein. So
the pieces are coming together.
Then we get a weird scene where Thomas is bringing in wrapped gifts or things from a shop or something like that, tied up in bows, bringing in stacks of them for Tanya, and he drops them and she laughs, and then he's like, oh, I'm sad now.
Yeah. He's upset because she laughed at him.
Weird scene. She's like, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. No.
With you. We all make dumb mistakes. You more than most.
And so she's like, why don't you bring those gifts deeper into this room, and I'll just close the door, and I'll just draw the blinds, and I'll just let my long flowing hair down.
Yep.
And lay you down on the bed as I take my clothes off. But then in the weirdest part of this, it cuts to Charles watching, just peeking out from a curtain,
Because this was the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have, I would assume, if you were going to off Thomas to get that beautiful, strong body, you could have done it at any point while he was asleep somewhere else. But instead, her plan is, no, let me have sex with him.
Yeah.
No, let me actually be riding him.
Yeah, I want him to die while inside me.
This is okay. This is where, I mean,
talk about her strange desires at this point.
Yes, this movie had taken that turn after Frankenstein died, but when we get to this point, it's like, holy shit! They had presented her as like, all right, I am coldly scientific like my father. I want to continue his work, but with this, while she is having sex with beautiful, stupid Thomas, and he's being killed. She's getting off on him being killed while they're having sex.
Because the move here, in what is clearly the obvious thing, Charles comes out from behind this curtain and starts smothering Thomas with a pillow. And it keeps cutting these orgasmic scenes of her.
It's working for her. This is like, all right.
The weirdest part of this, when she bites her own wrist, I don't even know what that choice is.
I think that's supposed to be a sexy gesture.
I think it is, but it just made me go, what?
Yeah, she's like doing the tossing her hair back. It's orgasmic.
Yeah.
And then it is this weird like bite the heel of your hand or the wrist thing. And I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
And the fact that it just cuts to that in like a close-up, I'm like, why is this indicated as like, oh yeah, that's what the fellas want to see.
She's having such an orgasm that she has to chaw on her own
I will
wrist.
say another moment, I was very sad for this actress having to do this because...
But I will say, John, if you've seen other Rosalba Neri
I'm aware. I have seen her in some other stuff.
She's done this kind of thing.
I have seen... I mean, actually, to be fair, I think the only thing I've seen her in is Johnny Yuma.
Johnny Yuma was a rebel.
I mean, because once again, I do have a great affinity for spaghetti westerns. I have seen that one.
Yeah.
She's also in the arena, I see.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
A lot of any like international co-production that's shot anywhere near Italy, I think she ended up in. She did a lot of stuff.
As the poster for Johnny Yuma states, seduction her game, murder her aim.
Yeah.
But you also meet the indestructible, incredible Johnny Yuma, his blood-curdling adventures, and his own hot brand of excitement.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Of course,
it's kind of fun.
I will say that the song I was singing is not from the film Johnny
No,
Yuma,
it is
from the television program The Rebel.
Yes.
And was composed and sung by Johnny Cash, a TV show theme sung by Johnny Cash. And it is one of my favorite Western themes. It's great.
It's a great one. Johnny Yuma is a totally fun spaghetti Western.
Can I say that Rosalba Neri, who I do find very attractive, she does not look like anyone you would have seen in the Old West.
Oh, Lord,
she looks about as Italian as you can get. And that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Sort of like a Monica Bellucci-ish look, that kind of classic thing.
And then you have then you also have very American and bland Mark Damon as Johnny Yuma.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
But grandfather of Matt Damon, so we have a lot to thank him for. It's a joke. I made that up.
No, I don't believe he has any relation to Jason Bourne.
Matt Damon.
Yeah. This scene
Thomas
disturbs me to no end. Yeah, it disturbs me to no end.
And it is one of the things you remember about this
movie.
movie.
But at this exact moment, we cut to not this exact moment because it's a scene after this technically.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, Thomas's sister, who's never been mentioned before, shows up going, "Where's Tommy?"
And then we find out later it's implied that Thomas's sister is kind of a romantic interest of Captain Harris.
Yes.
We get a lot of info late in the movie. You're like, really?
Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, because at this point where we are right now, where Thomas has died, there's like 20 minutes left in this movie.
Yeah.
After that scene, I'm going, I don't know where this movie is going. I will give them that. I have.
That's
refreshing. I did not expect her to have sex with a man while being murdered and get off on it. So
right.
As far as I'm concerned, the movie could do anything from that point.
You did not have that on your bingo card.
Your Lady Frankenstein I did not think that was going to happen.
Nope.
So her sister arrives, and Tanya goes, "Oh, yeah, Thomas, yes. I haven't seen him in a while. Perhaps he's
weird.
In his home," which I do like the idea that he apparently lives off grounds, because she's like, "Well, I checked there." And she's like, "Well, maybe he went on a trip." And I do like her being like, "Tommy went on a trip?" Well, yes. He was quite distraught that my father died. By the way, my father died, so pity.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to come back around because my dad died.
He loved him.
That probably threw him.
He loved my old man so much.
Yeah.
And she, finding this obviously incredibly suspicious, immediately runs to Captain Harris, the sister. And Captain Harris is like, "Oh, I'm sure it's fine. There's no reason to worry." Oh, now that I think about it, there's a murderous monster stalking the town. So
it's just hilarious that of all the little pieces and threads he is magically tied together, this thing he just kind of goes, "Yeah, it doesn't matter."
It's the other cop.
He works for the guy that died, and you think his daughter's doing something. No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's the other cop who comes in and goes, "Hey, that's kind of weird, isn't it, that guy disappeared?"
The other cop guy is so... It's just a weird
Hey, boss, it's kind of weird that's the stable boy at the place where...
He's almost played like that. He's almost like, "Geez, Harris, I don't even know."
Yeah.
Yeah, your girl's brother. Yeah, the dumb guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have something to do with it.
Yeah, and Harris goes, "Now that you say that, maybe you're right." So we cut back to the Frankenstein Manor, and Charles is going, "All right, well, here's the thing. When you take out my brain, you're going to want to make sure the blood goes here, and it goes into this." Is where they're talking about batteries and liquid oxygen and things like that.
Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, no, all this makes perfect sense."
And that and there, so we'll run through that.
Yep.
Everything's great. Meanwhile, there's chaos in the town because the creature is attacking. Oh, no. Yeah. Sorry, the creature's not yet attacking. We have the two townsfolk representatives say they fought the creature, which I love. I'm like, I'm sorry, this all happened off screen?
Apparently so.
"We were out there. We shot at the creature. Our bullets did nothing. It just kept coming." And the captain's just like, "Oh, that's bad. And they're just like, well, look, the townsfolk are really getting restless. And for some reason, they have tracked this to Frankenstein. They're convinced it's the Frankensteins that they're responsible for this. And look, if you don't take care of this soon, we don't know what the town people might be capable of. So this could get really bad really fast.
Yeah.
Captain Harris is like, well, we'll get him. Don't worry. I know he's killed like 8 more people, but we'll get him. It's only a matter of time. So she's preparing for surgery. She's already Lady Frankenstein, Tanya. They've shaved Charles's head, and he's going like, "Oh, I can't wait to be with you, my love, in my new hot body."
I think the actor actually shaved his head. I was looking at it, going, "If that's a bald cap, it's really well done."
I'll tell you who didn't shave his head. The other guy.
I know, the other guy. Because later on they go, "This wig should do it." I'm like, "That's the
best wig I've ever seen."
That's the guy's actual.
It is the guy's actual hair, and which I'm just like, why even like this idea of them just going, well, we need to explain away why he suddenly has hair, so we'll just say this wig I'm putting on you works perfectly.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So, while interrupting the surgery, Captain Harris arrives and he's like, I've got a few more questions for you. And she's like, well, okay, but and it's like, there's a lot more murders in this town. That monster's still killing people. Anything? And have you seen Thomas
around in broad daylight?
Yes. Have you seen Thomas? Because he is missing. She's like, I already told the sister. We don't know where he is, all right? Look, we don't know where that dum-dum got off to.
I already told the sister. We don't know where this dude is, all right? Jesus.
And this is where she's like, I'm sorry, are you accusing me of something? He's like, not yet, but the pieces are adding up.
I feel I will be accusing you very soon.
We're not there yet in this movie.
For an accusation.
Everybody
Oh, it's coming. You'll know when it's here.
There's an accusation of brewing, that's for sure.
I found the perfect recipe for an accusation.
Oh, this character's awful.
He is. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I like a smart detective guy, but this dude is so smarmy and full of himself.
Yeah. So So now she's like, oh damn, because she's already taken out the brain and heart, but once again needs the lightning. And so she's like, I don't think there's going to be enough time. We don't know if there's going to be more lightning anytime soon. I'm going to have to generate the electricity that a lightning strike would provide, and I can do it. I know how.
It's with those damn dry batteries that she talked about. She was so proud of.
And she does it, and everything actually works perfectly.
Yeah. The end.
I mean, it is just like, whoa.
She succeeds.
Because Charles wakes up in Thomas's body, and he's like, oh, yes. And she's testing his reflexes and his strength. Move that table. And he's like, wow, I've always dreamed I would be able to move a table. Because, of course, in classic brain swap Frankenstein movie fashion, he now has Charles's voice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Why would that ever be the case?
It should not be the case. It should have been the same guy who did the Thomas voiceover,
just not doing the dumb
intelligently.
Voice. Yeah.
Right.
No, instead it is, of course, Charles's voice, and he's like, yes, we can be together, my dear.
We ask for so much of these films.
Meanwhile, the monster is rampaging through the main town now.
Yeah, and now he's finally made it to town.
People are shooting at it. It's doing nothing. He's killing people. They're throwing barrels at him, of course. Standard stuff. But I thought, why doesn't anybody come at him with a bladed weapon?
Right.
And then later, that will be what actually does him in. Why didn't somebody get an axe or something and start hacking him apart?
Well, I don't know which point Charles will say this. Charles in the body of Thomas.
Yeah.
But I think she's like, let the captain kill the monster or whatever. And he goes, no, it has to be me. I'm the only one who knows how to destroy it, which is a very dramatic and, again, comic booky thing to say. Yeah. What that ends up being is him putting an axe in the thing's head.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry. I was expecting some sort of super science way.
I am the only one who knows that a bladed weapon will fall this beast.
I'm the only one who knows if you put an axe in someone's skull, they go down.
Also,
what the fuck?
I feel like the implication is, what if they had shot it in the head?
Sure,
they're always shooting like in the chest and it's not doing anything. But it seems like if the axe to the head kills it, wouldn't a bullet, or in this case it would be a ball, to the
John,
head
it's the
also?
same as why do no Gotham villains aim for Batman's mouth?
Yes.
The dude's let his chin and mouth hang out. You could totally aim for the patch of skin that's visible.
No.
Boom, dead Batman.
Nope. Come on, that's a 1 in a million shot.
It really is.
So now the captain arrives at Castle Frankenstein. He's like, I need to see your husband. I got to talk to this Charles guy right now. And she's like, no, he's so ill. You can't see him. He's like, I don't care. I'm a cop, damn it. I'm busting in.
Yeah. This is the best thing in the world.
And so he gets upstairs, and now hiding in the shadows is Thomas with Charles's voice, turning his head away and going like, what is it, Inspector? My condition is highly contagious. You shouldn't be here.
I need to point something out to our listeners. The shadows aren't that deep.
Yeah.
And Captain Harris is maybe 7 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with operating eyes would sit there going, Thomas, you do a really good impression of Charles.
And actually,
it is.
What if they had brought out Thomas and been like, yes, here's Thomas. Wouldn't that also satiate some of his things, going like, oh, well, I guess they didn't murder him?
They could have done that and said that Charles was, on a trip or something.
Yeah.
And it would have calmed at least one of the things they are suspecting them of. Yeah, this is a dumb plan.
Yeah. And he's like, look, I figured this all out. I know you made this monster. I don't know how it is that I know it, but I know it. And I also know that he's killing all the people who helped create him. So you're next. I'm here trying to protect you.
Unbelievable leaps. These are unbelievable leaps. Yeah. Both on the part of the creature, who could not know those people had anything to do with anything, and also our captain, who's just piecing this together out of the ether.
And they're like, whatever, man, we don't care. And so he goes to leave, and on his way out, of course, as he's going out the gate of this place, the creature immediately attacks Captain Harris and then rips the gate of Castle Frankenstein off and starts his single-minded pursuit of Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah. Not Dr. Frankenstein. Because he already took care of Dr. Frankenstein.
He's looking for Charles.
Yeah. And the Honorable Tanya Frankenstein.
Is he looking for Tanya Frankenstein?
Does he know that she exists?
No,
Maybe
he doesn't.
Not.
Because when we get, there's a whole thing about it here. And this is where Tanya says, we should just get out of here. And he's like, no, I must face him. I'm the only one who can destroy him, right?
I'm the only one who can. I know how to destroy him.
Right.
Apparently with an axe. Jesus.
So, meanwhile, the mob is grabbing their torches and starting towards the castle.
We're getting a mob. This is a cheap knockoff movie, but we're getting a...
Yeah. It's not a big mob, but it's a few people with torches.
It's those two guys.
Yeah.
And some of their friends.
So, Charles goes to attack the monster, and Tanya's like, no, wait, look. It's not attacking because it sees you as Thomas, not as Charles, so it thinks its mission's over, basically. Yeah. That's where it's saying he doesn't know Tanya because he doesn't attack Tanya either.
That's right.
Although... he's attacked tons of other people and this guy's acting
who had nothing to do with
it. So I don't know what this theory is insane.
No,
it doesn't fit with the movie. And he's like, no, I gotta fucking kill this thing. It has to be stopped. And then this is whole thing where he goes, no, wait a minute. You want the creature to survive because whether it kills me or I kill it, you still win. And I'm just going like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
this comes out of nowhere real late in the. There's like 5 minutes of the movie
where he's like
there.
going, "You don't really love me anyway. You just want one of these creatures, whether it's me or him, to live. So your work."
And I'm like, when was that? I took her at being sincere about loving him.
Or actually, I didn't.
You didn't? I at least took the idea of the creature being attractive to her, the creature of the melding of the mind and the body.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean. The lady does have strange urges. I think you're ignoring what the poster told us.
You're right. I forgot.
She might want to get together with the Prowse Leno.
I don't know. Do you think so? Because I mean, they make such a point about her having so the hots for Thomas. That's what I'm saying. I took it at sincere as she was attracted to the idea of Charles's brain and Thomas's body.
I think she is single-minded in the work above all. She doesn't give a shit if Charles lives or dies.
The movie doesn't do a good job of once again. I said I don't know what the deal with this character is really beyond.
Well, when you get to the end,
yeah,
we're left even more in the dark as to
very strange there, because
we're almost there.
Well, because yes, the creature does. They're throwing these horribly cheap desks and things at each other.
Yeah,
and
so
then
it's Thomas Charles fighting Penis Man, and
run from Penis Man.
He almost takes down Thomas, and then she comes up from behind and does prove that she's picked a side, and she runs a spear thing through a pike through Penis Man's chest.
Yeah.
Almost gets Thomas because
for a second I thought they did, because he falls back and we see the blade protruding out through this thing's chest. I thought she stabbed both of them. No,
no, he just went down.
Because then the creature turns around to her with this thing stuck in his chest, and then when
Charles
Thomas,
I know how to take him out.
The only way to take him out, just puts this axe right in his head, and that's it. He's donezo at this point.
Yeah, the original creature's dead. Sexy creature's still alive.
Oh, we should also mention before he's stabbed, he hacks the thing's arm off, and you see it. The finger's still moving on the ground.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's still just nail polish and mommy's lipstick spilling out of the front.
Meanwhile, Thomas's sister has arrived at this. They revive Captain Harris, so that they can all run in.
Captain Harris is playing catch up. He runs in and is like, "What are you people doing?" The crowd the mob is so unruly.
They're all starting to burn the house down.
They're torching the Frankenstein house, which is another big leap because, I mean, they did see the creature went in there, but they don't know that Frankenstein created
whatever. Just burn it all.
Possibly they're burning neighbors for no reason. But anyway,
burn!
So they are burning the place.
I want to burn it all.
And Harris is like going, I didn't say you should do this.
No.
Stop doing this.
So they're burning the place, and then they come down into the dungeon lab, and
only Harris and the sister.
Yeah, they go down to the dungeon lab, which is on fire, and there on one of the lab tables is Charles Thomas just railing. Just railing Tanya.
Charles Thomas and Tanya, a.k.a. the Honorable Tanya Frankenstein, are fully nude.
Not so honorable right now, though, is she?
No. They are on the cold stone floor.
Damn.
On the altar thing, and they are.
Yeah, they're on like the lab table.
They are going to Bone Town.
Yeah.
They are plowing.
Yeah.
And the place is burning. They don't care.
Yeah.
They are fucking
It's a one-way ticket all the way to Pound Town.
And both Harris and the sister are like, oh no.
Of all the things we thought we'd see down here, not this.
But here's what's also confusing. I mean, we will never know what happens next. But all you can think, well, I mean, we do know one more thing that happens. But still, to their minds, they don't know about this being Thomas Charles.
No.
To their eyes, it is poor, simple Thomas, her brother, fucking this woman. So it might be startling, but wouldn't your next instinct be, we have to get them out of here. The place is on fire.
No.
They don't know he's a creature.
They're frozen by this image. And then...
Yeah. And then...
I really don't understand what happens next. The creature, Thomas Charles creature, just strangles Tanya to death as he's doing her.
Yeah.
And then the movie immediately ends.
That's the thing. Sex and death inexorably entwined in this film.
Why does he kill her?
Maybe because he still thinks that she didn't care.
I guess But after he kills the creature, she's like, "You do love me. You love me. You love me."
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe anytime a brain is transferred, you're going to end up being psychotically violent.
I did
but
not.
As
and
you
then
just said,
the movie
and we need to stress it,
stops.
He strangles her. Her head goes back dead, and then just the title comes up. End.
Oh, on mine it said fini.
Mine said end with an E.
Oh.
So indie.
Yeah.
So you got French.
Yeah.
And I got.
Yeah.
Is that Italian? End with an E?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Because I was watching. By the way,
the
if I don't recommend people watch this.
No.
But
no.
If you were to, this movie is just up for free on YouTube, which is where I watched it.
Oh, really?
In high def quality. It looked good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine was another, pirated.
The first thing I do with all of these movies is I look to just see if they're up in their entirety on YouTube, and I will say a lot of the ones for this season are. They're just up on YouTube.
Very good.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't recommend this one unless you're morbidly curious about elderly Joseph Cotton.
Yeah.
A great actor.
There's other better elderly Joseph Cotton performances to go to.
Sure.
Watch the 5
unless you're just a completist for Rizal Baniri, who
which you're gonna
I like.
There's a lot of stuff she was in though, so that's gonna take a while to be a completist on that.
Well, yeah,
I'm not
ridiculous.
gonna seek that out. I don't really want to watch any of her other movies.
But she's beautiful.
She is, but I don't think she's in a lot of stuff that I.
Her daughter, Francesca Neri, also became an actress and also took her clothes off a lot.
Oh, well, so that's sort of Italian, isn't it? I mean, that's that European thing.
True. Ornella Muti's daughter ended up taking her clothes off,
which is actually an interesting thing. I was just when I was looking to see if Mariska Hargitay did attend acting school, which she did. She graduated with a degree in theater from UCLA. One of the things she was very specific about in her career was she was not going to do sexual roles, nudity things that her mother was known for. She was not going to use her body in any way to get roles.
As far as I know, she never did.
She didn't, and in fact, even beyond forget nudity,
but she mainly did TV. I mean,
yeah, but I'm just saying, but even in that, as Olivia Benson on SVU, she's always in like a jacket and pants and a sweater, and like never did anything that even was like.
There was one scene in ER where she surprises him at work, and it's supposed to be her being very awkwardly sexy, where she's like. Finds him in the break room or wherever where they take naps and she opens her coat and she's just in her negligee or something.
Yeah.
And I mean she looked great.
Yeah.
But it was great because she's playing it as someone who's like, I don't normally do stuff like this. Is this working?
I'm sure that's why she was probably more okay with that than other things she was asked to do.
And Anthony Edwards is like, what are you thinking? We can't do anything in the hospital. And she was adorably embarrassed. It worked. But yeah, she never went the Jane Mansfield route.
No.
And that's fine.
I mean, well, as we talked about, she didn't have to rely on it because she's actually a good actress, too.
Was she actually one of the kids that was in the car?
Correct. Yes.
I think she was.
Yes, she was.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah, I've heard her talk about that.
Oh,
I don't think she has a ton of memory of it, but...
Yeah, she would have been like 1 or 2 or 3. It couldn't have been...
Yeah, very, very young.
Oh, yeah, terrible story. But anyway, we're fans of hers. Her dad, not so much.
No, and her mom
Her mom
is iconic, but not particularly talented.
The only thing to watch is The Girl Can't Help It, because it's a knockoff of anything Marilyn Monroe did, and it's not as good, but it has a kick-ass Little Richard theme song. Girl Can't Help It. It's great. But anyway, moving on. Don't watch this movie. We did it for you.
Yeah.
What's next week, John?
Well, speaking of iconic, next week, Brendan... This is the one we've been waiting for quite a while. That's right. Darren McGavin is Kolchak in The Night Stalker next week.
All right, this is something I have to tell our listeners. It may be our last episode. It may be the one where I just go, why go on?
It doesn't get any better than this.
And it's a movie I have serious problems with, The Creature. But it is so great.
It is.
Darren McGavin is a god to me.
He is
I'm
amazing.
sorry. I'm going overboard.
I have the complete box set, speaking of my weird random box sets, of his Mike Hammer show from the 50s.
Nice.
Yeah.
And actually, He's a pretty good Mike Hammer.
He is.
But it's a very watered down 1950s version of that.
Which is funny because at the time it was hugely controversial for how violent it was.
Yeah, it was trying to walk the line.
Yeah.
But it was a very weak line.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it plays like any other show from that era, basically.
Sure.
But one of the reasons I bought it was because I had heard it was shockingly violent for its time, and I was like, and I love Darren McGavin, and I love Mike Hammer, and so I was like, I got to see what was considered, because The Untouchables, another show I love from that similar era, was also considered, whoa, the violence on it. And you're like, there's not a drop of blood anywhere.
Tommy guns and just blasting at people.
Yeah, but then, even if people get hit, they just fall over. It's not like they're ripping through people.
There were no squibs.
No. But, so anyway, it is the Night Stalker next week on the show.
One of the greats.
Absolutely.
We highly encourage, I'm saying it even before.
Yes.
We highly encourage you guys to watch it.
I can say definitively this one is worth watching. So.
And that also hopefully will increase your pleasure of listening to us talk about it.
Yes.
And picking it apart.
It'll be nice to talk about something we genuinely like, because I would say so far this season it's been middling to bad movies.
Yeah, it has.
Still, though, that first Count Dracula movie with Christopher Lee is the worst thing we've watched, and I will keep saying that because I do think that is going to be. We're not going to find anything worse than that. That was horrible.
I don't want to take that bet.
Not this season, I don't think.
I don't want to take that bet.
I don't know. All right. We have yet to veer into
bad TV movies.
There's a few TV movies in here. This is actually the first of the TV movies to be the Night Stalker, which is
There's going to be a couple of laughably bad werewolf TV movies.
Are you telling me The Boy Who Cried Werewolf is not a masterpiece?
Next week is a gem, and
Absolutely.
I can't wait. I might watch it right now and then watch it again before we do the podcast.
So exciting, yes. All right, so that's next week on the show, though, but that is going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
So, Night Stalker, Darren McGavin, he's like the best ever, right? I can't even fucking wait.